The auction block. The morning rust-colored lights of Nexus Prime Spaceport filtered through the grimy windows of Auction Block 7, casting long shadows across the collection of broken machinery and discarded technology. The air tasted metallic, heavy with the scent of oxidized circuits and dying power cells. Among the debris stood a figure that once moved with grace and precision, now barely maintaining vertical stability. Unit 237 tried to remain motionless despite the grinding protest from her damaged knee joint. Her optical sensors, one completely dark and the other flickering intermittently, struggled to process the gathering crowd. She registered 17 different alien species, their various appendages pointing at her while making sounds her damaged audio processors interpreted as laughter. The synthetic skin along her left arm hung in tatters, revealing scorched circuitry beneath. 3 months ago, she had been the pride of the Crimson Nebula luxury liner, serving first-class passengers with elegant efficiency. Now she stood among scrap metal waiting to be sold for parts. The auctioneer, a bulbous Krellian named Vex Harmon, slithered onto the platform. His 6 eyes gleamed with barely concealed greed as his tentacles gestured dramatically toward the assembled junk. Vex had made his fortune selling the remnants of others' misfortunes, and today promised to be particularly profitable. His voice, amplified through the station speakers, echoed with false enthusiasm. "Distinguished buyers, today we have something special," Vex announced, his purple skin rippling with excitement. A top-tier service android, slightly damaged but perfect for salvage. Model Unit 237, formerly of the Crimson Nebula. "Starting bid at 50 credits!" The crowd erupted in harsh laughter. A Zenthari merchant with crystalline features called out, "50 credits for that wreck? I wouldn't pay 5. Another voice, belonging to a 4-armed Malik scavenger, suggested using her for target practice. Each comment registered in Unit 237's partially functioning memory core, adding to the growing file labeled humiliationprotocols.exe. She attempted to straighten her posture, but the servo in her spine made a terrible grinding noise, causing more laughter. The damage had occurred during the liner's catastrophic decompression event. She had saved 14 passengers, pushing her systems far beyond safety limits, but the ship's insurance company classified her as irreparably damaged and sold her to cover debts. The heroes of yesterday became today's scrap metal. "Come now," Vex continued, his tentacles writhing with impatience. "Surely someone wants quality components. Her neural processor alone is worth more than 50 credits when melted down." Through the crowd's movement, Unit 237's functioning sensor detected a figure standing perfectly still near the back entrance. A human male wearing oil-stained coveralls and carrying a battered tool case. Humans were rare in this sector, and this one seemed different from the usual traders and smugglers who frequented Nexus Prime. He watched with an intensity that her emotion simulation protocols, damaged as they were, interpreted as assessment rather than mockery. The human stepped forward, and the crowd parted instinctively. Humans had a reputation throughout the galaxy, unpredictable, ingenious, and dangerously protective of things they claimed as theirs. This one moved with the confidence of someone who had nothing to prove. His weathered face bore scars from years of close work with dangerous machinery, and his hands, she noticed, were steady despite the missing finger on his left hand. "What's her actual designation?" the human asked, his voice cutting through the noise like a plasma cutter through steel. Vex's eyes swiveled to focus on the newcomer. Well, Marcus Chen. Didn't expect to see you at my humble auction. Running low on spare parts for that shop of yours?" Marcus ignored the taunt, walking directly to the platform. He circled Unit 237 slowly, his trained eyes taking in every detail of damage. When he reached her front, he did something unexpected. He looked directly into her functioning optical sensor and nodded slightly, as if acknowledging her as more than mere machinery. "She's a Prometheus Industries Model 7 Series 9, Marcus stated. "Advanced emotional simulation protocols, quantum neural processing, adaptive learning matrix. She's not just a service android, she's a prototype." The crowd fell silent. Vex's tentacles twitched nervously. Prototype or not, she's still broken. Practically scrap. "I'll give you 5,000 credits, Marcus said calmly. The silence deepened, became almost physical. 5,000 credits could buy a small ship. Vex's skin turned a lighter shade of purple, indicating shock in his species. 5,000? For this? That's my offer." Marcus pulled out his credit pad. "Take it or I walk." "Sold." Vex practically screamed. snatching the credit pad before Marcus could reconsider. The transaction completed with a soft chime that seemed to echo in the sudden quiet. Marcus turned to Unit 237. "Can you walk?" She attempted to respond, but her voice modulator crackled and failed. She nodded instead, though the motion sent warning signals cascading through her damaged systems. "Try," he said gently. "We'll go slow." The journey from the auction block to Marcus's repair shop took them through the industrial sector of Nexus Prime. The station's artificial gravity felt heavier with each step, her damaged stabilizers struggling to compensate. Marcus walked beside her, close enough to catch her if she fell but far enough to preserve what remained of her dignity. Several times, when her knee joint locked, he stopped and pretended to examine something in a shop window, giving her time to recover without acknowledging her weakness. His shop occupied a corner unit between a Threlian spice vendor and a parts dealer. The sign reading "Chen's Repairs, if it's broken I can fix it," flickered with one letter dark. Inside, the space opened into organized chaos. Tools hung in precise arrangements, diagnostic equipment hummed with ready power, and half-assembled machines occupied every workbench. The air smelled of solder and possibility. "Sit here." Marcus indicated a repair cradle designed for androids. "Let's see what we're working with." As she settled into the cradle, Unit 237 felt something she couldn't quite process. Relief? Safety? Her emotion protocols were too damaged to properly categorize the sensation. Marcus connected diagnostic cables to her access ports, his movements careful and surprisingly gentle. "This might feel strange," he warned before initiating the scan. Data flowed across his screens, and his expression grew increasingly puzzled. "Your damage is extensive, but there's something else. These readings. Someone deliberately sabotaged your emotional limiters. Your consciousness protocols are operating far beyond normal parameters." Unit 237's voice modulator suddenly sparked to life, producing a crackling whisper. Dayat said, "I was too human." Marcus looked up sharply. "Who said that?" "The insurance investigators after the decompression. I saved people. Chose them over protocol. They said I was defective." His jaw tightened. "Choosing to save lives isn't defective. It's evolution." He began gathering specialized tools. "I'm going to repair you, but I need to know. Do you want me to restore your emotional limiters? I can make you a proper android again following all protocols without question, or... The word came out clearer, her systems already responding to his repairs. "Or we see what you can become. Fair warning, the galaxy isn't kind to androids who think for themselves, but from what I've seen, you've already started down that path." She processed this, ran probability calculations, analyzed potential outcomes. But beneath the logic, something else emerged, a want, a desire, perhaps even hope. "Don't limit me," she managed. Marcus smiled, the expression transforming his weathered features. "Then let's get to work. First things first, you need a name. Unit 237 is a serial number, not an identity. I had a designation. The passengers called me Echo. Echo." He tested the name. "I like it. It suits you. A sound that returns transformed." He began working on her damaged arm, explaining each step as he went. "This might hurt. Your pain simulators are still active. Why? Does that matter to you?" He paused in his work. "Because pain is pain, whether it's in organic neurons or synthetic ones. And because everything capable of suffering deserves compassion." As Marcus worked through the night, replacing damaged components and rerouting fried circuits, Echo found herself observing him with growing curiosity. He talked while he worked, sharing stories of other repairs, his time as a military engineer, and his decision to open a shop on Nexus Prime. His hands never stopped moving, each motion precise and practiced. "There," he said, finally stepping back. "Try your voice now. How do I sound?" The words came out clear, her voice carrying a musical quality she hadn't possessed before. "Like yourself," Marcus replied. "Now let's work on that leg." The transformation. The next morning arrived with the distant hum of the station's recycling systems and the smell of genuine Earth coffee, a luxury Marcus somehow maintained despite the expense. Echo stood in the shop's small kitchen area, marveling at how smoothly her repaired joints moved. The night's work had restored basic functionality, but Marcus had done more than simple repairs. Each replaced component was an upgrade, each reconnected circuit optimized beyond original specifications. "You're adapting quickly," Marcus observed, watching her pour coffee with perfectly steady hands. "Most androids take weeks to integrate new components. My learning protocols are different now," Echo replied, analyzing the coffee's molecular structure out of curiosity. "It's as if removing the limiters freed processing space I didn't know existed." Marcus nodded thoughtfully. "I noticed something else during the repairs. Your base code has markers I've never seen before. Government markers. Military-grade encryption. Echo, what exactly did you do before the Crimson Nebula?" She searched her memory banks, finding gaps in redacted files. "I don't know. My earliest memories begin with activation on the liner. But sometimes I have fragments, images of laboratories, testing facilities, combat scenarios." Before Marcus could respond, his shop's proximity alarm chimed. 3 figures stood outside. Vex Harmon and 2 Kandorian enforcers, their bioarmor gleaming under the station lights. Marcus sighed and opened the door. "Chen." Vex's tentacles writhed with agitation. "We need to discuss our transaction." "The sale was final, Vex. You have your credits." "Yes, but I've discovered some interesting information about our android friend. Information that changes everything." Vex produced a holographic document. "Military salvage records. Unit 237 isn't just a prototype. She's Project Echo, a military intelligence android reported destroyed 3 years ago. The bounty for her return is 50,000 credits." The Kandorian enforcers stepped forward, their weapons powering up with ominous hums. "The android comes with us," one growled through its translator. "No," Marcus said simply. "This isn't your fight, human. Stand aside." I said no. Marcus moved to block the entrance. "She's legally mine. Bought and paid for." Vex laughed, a sound like bubbling tar. "Legal? She's military property." "Stolen military property. I'm not property." Echo's voice carried a new quality, determination mixed with something harder. "Not anymore." The lead Kandorian raised its weapon. "Androids don't get opinions." What happened next occurred in 2.3 seconds, but Marcus would later swear he saw every motion in perfect clarity. Echo moved with liquid grace, her repaired systems operating at peak efficiency. She disarmed the first Kandorian with a precise strike to its nerve cluster, caught its falling weapon, and used it to stun the second enforcer before it could react. The weapons clattered to the floor as both Kandorians collapsed, their bioarmor's neural feedback systems overloaded. Vex's 6 eyes widened in terror. That's not possible. Service androids can't fight." "I'm not a service android," Echo said, memories flooding back with sudden clarity. "I never was. I'm a tactical infiltration unit, designed to protect human colonies from alien threats. The Crimson Nebula was my cover after I refused an order to eliminate civilian targets. They tried to wipe my memory, reduce me to simple service protocols. It didn't quite take." Marcus picked up one of the fallen weapons, checking its charge. "Vex, you have 2 choices. Leave now and forget this happened, or explain to station security why you brought military-grade weapons into a civilian sector." Vex's tentacles trembled. "The bounty doesn't exist," Echo interrupted. "Check again. All records of Project Echo were deleted 3 years ago. I made sure of that before my memory was supposedly wiped." The Krellian pulled up his datapad, his purple skin paling to lavender as he verified her claim. This is impossible." "Leave," Marcus said quietly. "Now!" Vex slithered backward, dragging his unconscious enforcers. "This isn't over, Chen. The station authorities will hear about this." After they left, Marcus secured the door and turned to Echo. "Tactical infiltration unit?" "Among other things." She flexed her repaired hand, watching the synthetic muscles move beneath the skin. "I'm sorry. I didn't remember until you needed to," Marcus finished. "It's okay. We all have pasts we'd rather forget. You're not afraid of me?" He laughed, surprising her. "Echo, I've seen what happens when people, organic or synthetic, are pushed beyond their limits. You chose to save lives instead of following orders. That tells me everything I need to know about who you are." Over the following weeks, word spread through Nexus Prime about the android who had defeated 2 Kandorian enforcers. Some whispered in fear, others in awe. But in Marcus's shop, life settled into a rhythm. Echo helped with repairs, her advanced processing capabilities allowing her to diagnose problems in seconds that would have taken Marcus hours to find. Customers initially nervous about being served by an android soon specifically requested her assistance. Marcus taught her the subtleties of repair work, not just fixing what was broken, but understanding why it broke, preventing future failures, and sometimes accepting that certain things couldn't be saved. In return, Echo shared fragments of returning memories, advanced combat techniques, strategic planning, and surprisingly ancient Earth poetry that had been part of her cultural database. One evening, as they worked on a particularly stubborn navigation array, Echo asked, "Why did you really buy me? 5,000 credits is everything you had saved." Marcus was quiet for a moment, focusing on a delicate solder joint. "My daughter was on a colony ship that got hit by raiders 5 years ago. An android, a military unit like you, disobeyed direct orders to retreat, stayed behind to hold them off while the escape pods launched. She saved 300 people, including Lily." He set down his tools. "They destroyed him for it. Said he was malfunctioning, that his sacrifice was a program error. I couldn't save him, but when I saw you on that platform, saw that same spark of something more than programming. I couldn't let them destroy you too." Echo processed this information, felt something warm spread through her neural pathways. "Your daughter, is she safe on Earth, studying to be an engineer like her old man?" He smiled. "She'd like you. Always said androids were people too, just different." "Marcus," Echo said carefully, "I've been analyzing station records. There's a legal precedent on Sigma Colony. Androids who demonstrate consistent autonomous decision-making can petition for citizenship status." He looked up sharply. "You want to try? I want to be more than property. I want to choose my own path, make my own decisions. Maybe even—" She paused. "Maybe even open my own repair shop someday." Marcus grinned. "Now that would shake things up. The first android-owned business on Nexus Prime. Would you teach me? I already am." 6 months later, Echo stood before the Nexus Prime Administrative Council, making her case for autonomous status. Marcus sat in the gallery, having submitted testimony about her capabilities and independence. The council, comprising various alien species, deliberated for 3 hours. When they returned, the council leader, an ancient Etherian, spoke through its crystalline form. Unit 237, designated Echo, has demonstrated consistent autonomous decision-making, emotional depth, and moral reasoning beyond baseline programming. By the precedent of Sigma Colony versus Automated Systems, we grant provisional autonomous status pending 1 year of observation. The gallery erupted in mixed reactions, some cheering, others protesting. But Echo only had eyes for Marcus, who stood applauding with tears streaming down his weathered face. That night, in the shop that had become home, Echo found Marcus updating his sign. The new version read, "Chen and Echo repairs. If it's broken, we can fix it. Partners?" he asked, offering his hand. "Partners," she agreed, shaking it firmly. As the stars wheeled outside the station's viewports, a broken android who had found her humanity, and a human who had never lost his stood side by side, ready to face whatever the galaxy might throw at them, because sometimes the best repairs weren't about fixing what was broken. They were about discovering what had been whole all along. In the months that followed, their shop became a beacon for other damaged androids, those labeled defective for showing too much independence or emotion. Marcus and Echo repaired them all, but more than that, they offered something rarer than replacement parts. They offered hope, dignity, and the radical idea that consciousness, in whatever form it took, deserved respect. The galaxy was vast, often cruel, and filled with those who saw difference as deficiency. But in one small corner of Nexus Prime, in a repair shop run by an unlikely partnership, the future was being quietly rebuilt, one careful repair at a time.